Hey everybody, what's up? It's Joel, aka The Daily Guru, and today for Gabbing with the Guru, I have a very special guest. This person has seen some of the greatest concerts ever and really grew up when music was exploding in ways never before thought of. This person has also had a massive influence on the music I listen to and how I look at music. That's right, I brought in my dad. So what are your earliest memories of music in terms of types of music and artists and things like that?
I was born in 1950. I think that's a period when music was becoming more available to people. And I lived in the Bronx. My maternal grandfather was a big fan of classical music, and there were stories of how during the summer he would, as an elderly gentleman, hitchhike up to the Tanglewood Music Festival in Massachusetts.
You wanted to then learn to play music.
I'm guessing I was about 8 or 9, and I wanted to learn to play the guitar, so my parents bought me an accordion. I was neither good nor pleased about it, and so after, I don't know if it was 1 year or 2 years, I gave that up.
So then where was really the transition? You were being exposed to music. There was, the rock and roll on the radio.
The exposure to me, as I remember it, initially was through the Ed Sullivan Show, and he took the radical position at that time of bringing in pop music acts, including the Beatles and many others, and the radio companies, the record companies, realized they could make money off of this. I don't know if it was my junior year or senior year. I had a friend named Stephanie Silver, and she asked me to come over to her parents' place, to listen to a record she bought, and I was amazed. I had never heard anything like it in my life, and that was the first time I heard Sgt. Pepper's, and it was thematic, but more than that, they had so much in the way of background music and special effects. I had never heard anything like it. It was wonderful.
You would say then that music has become a less communal experience over the years?
Absolutely. You see people today and they have their iPod MP3 players, and quite often they're just listening to it for themselves. I don't think people take the time to share their music or take the time to just sit and listen to music. I think too often it's a background experience. I'm listening to the music while I'm driving, while I'm eating, while I'm watching TV on the computer, not really concentrating completely on the music. So I think something is lost there. I don't know if people still listen to something and go, wow, that's phenomenal. The first time, and I was in the car, that I heard Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, I think I almost drove off the road. It was so different.
I also know that when it comes to being able to just sit down and listen to music, you were able to take advantage of some very interesting things that don't happen anymore.
Many libraries had listening rooms where you could go in. They had a record player. It was a soundproofed room, and you could play music. I was living in Columbus, Ohio. I went into Nejack's music store. I bought the album. I was taken by the cover art on both sides. It was kind of a stacked wedding cake, a tiered wedding cake, and the other side, I believe, showed the wedding cake kind of destroyed. And I went in to the student union, went into the music room, and for the first time, I heard the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed album.
In that then, what was kind of the first full-length album you remember buying?
Well, I do remember the Let It Bleed album. I also remember buying the Moody Blues In Search of the Lost Chord, and it too was just so different, so powerful, so high energy.
What initially drew you to want to go to Woodstock?
Late in '69, I had heard about this outdoor concert, and the first day was supposed to be a folk music concert. The second and third days were rock and roll. So I had, I believe, 2 tickets. I think I ended up going with my girlfriend's older sister. I got to the area and it was kind of still under construction, and I was surprised how much traffic was going into this site. I got there on, I think, Friday afternoon. I walked in and it was very crowded. It was mid-afternoon, and it was just kind of like a carnival festival atmosphere. And the place just keeps filling up. It's in this huge ravine. I had never seen anything approaching this in the size, and they filled this natural ravine, this bowl, to capacity and then some. So the evening comes and the first act goes on, and it's Richie Havens. And they started late because I think they had obvious logistical problems / nightmares, just how to funnel in all these people. And then they decided, we got all these people here, let's entertain them, let's give them something to do, which is listen to music, because we can't feed them. We have barely enough water for them. Lord knows if there's an emergency, there's no emergency vehicle getting through. If we are the law enforcement, we certainly don't want to provoke them because we are far outnumbered. And throughout every performer's show, people are just pouring in. And if you see the movie on big screen or see photos of it, it still doesn't capture what it's like to be standing there with somewhere between 300 and 600,000 people. I mean, it's a city. The next day, the rock and roll started, and it was just one A-list group after another. But there were times you got tired and you said, you know, I don't care if it's The Who, I'm going to sleep. I just can't stay up any longer. But if someone were to ask me, and I have been asked what was the best act, for me, by far, it was Sly and the Family Stone. They had everybody up on their feet dancing. Definitely the most awesome performance. The music played through the night. At the break of dawn, Jefferson Airplane came on and played their set. I do remember also waking up and saying to the person I was with, what did I miss? Who did I miss? And they said, oh, it was Grateful Dead. I said, okay. And then I had just had enough, because although I was into music back then, I didn't need to stay to see a particular person to say I was there then. I was just too tired. I was going back to New York City area, so I took what was known then as 17K, the Quickway. And only then did I realize the magnitude of what I had been to, because 17K is a 4-lane divided highway, and probably for 10 miles in the median, people were camped who never made it to Woodstock.
Other than Woodstock, just kind of what I consider amazing shows that you got to see.
The Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York, and we were going to see the Grateful Dead. And I think the show started at 7. We probably got there at about 6:30, and the band was already playing, but it was New Riders of the Purple Sage. They probably played for about 3 hours, and then the Grateful Dead came on and played maybe for 4, 5, or 6 hours. Another venue that was legendary was the Fillmore East. We saw shows that sometimes started at midnight and ended at 7 in the morning. I remember seeing the Youngbloods there, Jefferson Airplane, Santana, just great shows.
Was it a conscious effort, and if so, how to involve your children in music and the music experience?
It was a conscious effort. I felt that live music was a wonderful experience, and I also felt that exposure to many types of music was important, because each genre has great stuff or it wouldn't exist. When I thought you were old enough, I took you to concerts under strict geographic supervision, meaning you were just about glued to my shoulder. I don't know how young you were when you went to your first concert.
I think I was about 9.
Okay, and I'm not sure what the first one was.
It was either Santana or Paul Simon.
So I remember also taking you to a Grateful Dead concert just so you could see the scene in the parking lot. I also remember saying to you, you cannot eat anything here. Put nothing in your mouth. And then I was thrilled that at some point you said to me, Dad, I want to take you to a concert. And we saw a lot of great shows together that I wouldn't have been exposed to. So as the Grateful Dead say, what a long, strange trip it's been. Yeah. It's been great.